U.S. Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris arriving for a campaign event in the battleground state of Michigan last week. Her rise to the top of the presidential ticket is boosting Democrats' fortunes in some crucial states. According to the New York Times and poll aggregator 538, Harris is leading Republican nominee Donald Trump by 2 points in Michigan and Wisconsin and is tied with Trump in Pennsylvania. That's a significant shift from polls taken in June after Biden's disaster of a debate with Trump. They showed Biden trailing Trump by 5 points in Michigan and 4 points in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. What should Canadians make of Harris's bump up in the polls? Let's bring in the Tuesday Power Panel. Michelle Cadario is a former Liberal National Campaign Director. Françoise Boivin is a former NDP MP. And here with me in studio, Kate Harrison is a Conservative political analyst. Michelle, I want to start with you. Kamala Harris opening up a bit of a lead. I just read you those poll numbers. Things are looking much better for the Democrats with Biden gone. Do you think the Liberal government here in this country is happy to see that sort of development?
Well, while it's certainly encouraging, I don't know that there's any kind of collective sigh of relief that Canadians should have. There's a long road ahead in the U.S. Election and many twists and turns. And I think we've all learned from watching politics south of the border that Donald Trump is a tenacious campaigner, let's just say, and he's not going to give it up easily or lose gently and go quietly into the night. So, you know, I think that without question, it is better for Canada if we don't have someone who is so divisive and also who is so chaotic. And it was a really bad time for Canada economically and very uncertain. And so more stability for sure comes with a Democratic ticket. But, you know, there's a long way to go.
Kate, there was some talk in Liberal circles about a Trump victory being a good thing for Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party because they could say, look at all that chaos south of the border. Yeah. Look what you get with a right-wing populist like Trump and J.D. Vance. You don't want that sort of thing here in Canada. You don't want to go for a Pierre Poilievre who would just be sort of a pale imitation of Trump. But if Kamala Harris wins, maybe that kind of changes the dynamic a little bit because a lot of Liberal strategists saying you need a big shift, like something major to happen to give the Liberals a boost. And if Kamala wins, it's kind of status quo, isn't it? Do you see any political implications in this country for
yeah,
this?
Certainly. The saying goes that contrast wins campaigns. And so I suspect that the Trudeau Liberals are somewhat hoping for a Trump victory insofar as the contrast they might be able to draw between their perspective on the world and that of Donald Trump. It will only get you so far to do that, in my view, when you actually have a appropriate domestic foil. And I would say so far the Liberals have not hit the mark in terms of trying to define Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives as Trump Light or Trump 2.0. And absent that reality, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to draw that connection for voters. And I also think you can only get so far in that line of messaging when you've got kind of a new face in what the Democrats have, right? I think there's maybe an equal number of Liberals that are looking at what the Democrats are enjoying now and saying, maybe we should make a similar consideration for our own leadership because look at the gracious honeymoon that Kamala Harris has gotten. So there's a bunch of different factors, I think, in looking at what's happening with the Democrats, the proximity to the election, making that change, and what the Trudeau Liberals are dealing with. But I do think that there's at least an inner voice in a lot of the Trudeau Liberals that say a Trump presidency isn't the worst thing because we could at least ride out another 12 months of trying to draw that contrast.
Yeah, Françoise, what do you think about that theory that, you know, a Trump victory might not be so bad for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals? Yeah, they get along really well with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they are ideologically aligned, but they might need that contrast. They might need Trump to be kind of a foil to help propel them back into the Prime Minister's office.
Oh my God, guys, you are so cynical. I mean, who wants to have the devil to ride their coattail and try to? I don't think it would have worked. First of all, I mean, it's when you see Pierre Poilievre and his wife, and you can bet your life, JP, that his wife will be an active campaign on the campaign trail. So I'm not so sure. I think it suits more the Liberals and the New Democrat to have a positive campaign. And that's what the last few weeks has shown us, is how much a good campaign matters, good campaigners matters, a lot. And we saw where they were failing, the Democrats, was because President Biden was not faring as well as they were expecting. And the debate proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he would have a hard time on trail, making almost Trump look more presidential. So I think Liberals and New Democrat have good points to see there, in a sense that if ever it prevails that Kamala Harris ticket wins the election, well, they might write on this on the positive factor, the fact that we look ahead, we look forward, we don't look backward, and we continue moving. We've got some good numbers in Canada, even better than the States in certain aspect of the economy, and build through that. And we all know that Justin Trudeau can be lethal in a campaign, on the campaign trail. So for the Liberals, it's not as discouraging. For the New Democrat, the 16th of September, their fate in that by-election in La Salle et Mare Verdun will mean a lot on what they will continue doing, supporting the Liberals or not supporting the Liberals, because they're presenting a great candidate. And if he doesn't make it, with the Liberals being so low, they're in deep trouble to continue on the coattail of the Liberals.
Michelle, do the Harris poll numbers show the value in switching up a leader? I mean, they were looking pretty grim for Biden, right? And then he's gone, and now the Democrats have a bit of pep in their step. Do you think the same rule applies here to Canada? Could you see a reversal of Liberal fortunes if Trudeau steps aside and there's a different leader at the top of that party?
Well, I think that the big difference, though, is that there was an obvious alternative down in the States. And, Kamala Harris has been the vice president. It was a very quick and speedy kind of switch to who was leading the ticket. And the other thing is that it was an insurmountable thing for Joe Biden to get over. He's 82 years old. And no one believed that at 86, towards the end of his next mandate, if he got one, that he would be kind of being able to operate at the highest level of what you expect an American president. So I think it's a very different set of circumstances. Certainly, leaderships bring in enthusiasm, they can bring in new ideas, they can bring in a fresh face, but that's no guarantee. And right now, I think that it's far more important to get the issue set right and to actually start talking about the right issues and making the right policy choices, than actually just kind of switching faces at the top of the leaderboard. I'm not sure that would make the biggest difference.
Yeah, Kate, I mean, we're talking about a huge difference, though, in these polls. I read those numbers off the top. We went from, Biden trailing Trump by 5 points in Michigan. Now Harris is leading by 2. That's a 7-point swing in a month's time. Do you think that there's a lesson there? Same question to you. Do you think there's a lesson there for a Trudeau-type figure in this country, maybe that if they do change the top of the ticket here in this country, there could be a benefit to the Liberal Party? There could be a little pep in their step. Yeah,
it's a really difficult thing to crystal ball. I think Michelle makes an excellent point in terms of the obvious alternative and the swiftness that decision was made to change out Biden for Harris. They didn't go through a divisive leadership race, which is almost certainly what we would see on the Liberal side here. So they didn't have to deal with those internal party dynamics. It was wholesale support machine is behind Harris. I think that is probably not the circumstance we would be dealing with for the Liberals. But I come back to the proximity to the campaign to make that switch. It's not totally dissimilar from, for instance, Doug Ford in 2018 when Patrick Brown left and there was a very little runway to elect him as a leader and then run him in the election. There was a little bit of support there. So I see that side of it, but right now the Harris campaign is benefiting from a lot of attention on her newness and not a whole lot of attention on her track record. In the next federal election, any candidate, Trudeau or a cabinet minister that's coming forward, is going to have a hard time communicating their way out of youth unemployment being at a 10-year high. They're going to have a hard time messaging their way out of housing starts being 22% down over last year. So these are real substantive issues that people are talking about, baggage and issues for the current government, that unless there's a fix for that, you won't be able to message your way out of the next campaign.
Françoise, 20 seconds to you. Quick final thoughts on this.
Well, like I said, let's all. It's so hard to compare the states with Canada and changing a ticket in so close proximity to an election. I think we'll see the same people that we have right now fight it off. And it's for Poilievre to lose that battle. So he needs to be perfect during the campaign, so not to give way to any inroads to the Liberals.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much to the Tuesday Power Panel, Michelle Caderio, Françoise Boivin, and Kate Harrison. Appreciate your thoughts